Welcome to the Power of Great. I'm your host, Matt Crane, and every single week we come to you right here on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, and Pandora with one simple mission in mind, and that's to help you recognize that your current situation is not your defining moment. This week, we have David Villa in the Power of Great studios. You know, David is the founder and CEO of IPD, a marketing, media, and training firm that works with companies of all sizes and industries across the United States. He has 21 years of national sales and executive management experience, and he brings that to his company. Since the company was established in 1995, David has been responsible for pioneering, growing, and scaling IPD into one of the nation's leading database management, business development, training, and intelligent marketing companies in the automotive service industry and beyond. Not only is he committed to his business, he is dedicated to his faith as a follower of Christ, his family, and his employees. He credits his success to those who he's been privileged enough to call his teammates. For the last 23 years, David and his wife have begun and started and now continue to grow Imperial Press Direct, and they did it directly from their bedroom in Tampa, Florida. They have 3 children that range from ages 16 to 23, and they went from dialing local dealers from their house to now working with more than 600 companies annually. IPD is now one of the leading direct marketing firms in the United States, servicing a multitude of industries based out of the greater Tampa Bay area, and have been doing this for the better part of 20 years. On top of that, if that's not enough, ladies and gentlemen, David is a published motivational speaker, trainer, author, and host the highly popular Auto Dealer Live show. And it's a weekly radio show where dealers go to discuss relevant topics in the automotive industry. David, welcome to the Power of Great, my man.
Man, thank you, Matt. I mean, I tell you what, brother, I wish, I think everybody, first of all, I'm humbled, man, to be on the show, but I think everybody that ever did anything would love to have that kind of intro, man. I tell you what, that was like the first class. Made me feel pretty good. I'm gonna go sell something when we're done with this.
I love that. You know, I tell everybody that, you know, as a podcaster, you got to find your niche. And I said, hey, there may be some guys that can get, you know, all these famous people on, but there will be nobody that will deliver an introduction like me. Nobody.
That's the best I've heard, man. And thank you very much for having me on, man.
Yeah. You know, David, but before we tackle a lot of the, before we tackle a lot of the meat and potatoes, if you will, something that really drew me to you very early on, because I'm like a lot of other people. I found you through social media, a lot of your channels, but locked into the consistency of your messaging. And something that really struck to me, you know, I'm in the state of Tennessee from the Bible Belt, and right. It's your belief in Christ and the fact that you're in an industry that is very tough, very good old boy sometimes, and
yes,
yet
sir.
You're so firm on that belief system. Where does that drive and where does that true stance on your belief come from?
Great question. And you're right, man. And I love what you do too, by the way. And I can sense your passion. I know everyone listens to you can as well. You know, that's, I was raised in I'm 44 years old. So I've been doing this and I dropped out of college. So, I mean, I'm not that old, but 23 years of doing this. I dropped out of college and started working, but was raised in church, man. I actually, before I ever thought about being a salesman or, you know, being in business, and I am today even in ministry, and that's where my initial passion was. And I thought that was the path I was going to take, and from a full-time perspective. I do more of that today, and I'm able to give more, you know, financially and of myself by not doing it, quote, full-time. But anyway, my whole family, I have 3 or 4, you know, immediate family members, including grandfathers and uncles, you know, that were full-time, you know, ministry. And so that's always been a big part of my life. And I tell you, man, you know, it took me a long time as a business owner. And I know we probably talk about this in, you know, a little bit as we go, but it took me a long time as a business owner to learn that that's what I needed to do. I was always a Christian, you know, that had a business, but until I let the Lord take our business and turn it into a Christian organization, it didn't explode, you know, like it is now. And it was a lot harder, if that makes sense.
No, I think that makes perfect sense. And I think for a lot of people that are out there struggling right now, there's so many different gurus and so many different do this and do that, and 30 days to this and 60 days to that. And, it's so funny how you said, until I decided to allow my talents to flow inside of my belief system is when things started to explode for me. Especially in the automotive industry, David, do you see a lot of people stepping outside of their true inner self to either fit something, fit a company, or fit a situation versus allowing that company to more conform to them?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me add something to that. You just, what you just said made me think of something else to add to that. I tried, and Matt, you know this. There's gifts and talents that we have. I mean, there's no doubt. Listening to you listening to me. I mean, not everybody is gifted and talented to the point where they're going to be in front of a camera or on a show or training. That's the skill set. But sometimes, somebody told me this a long time ago. It was a pastor mentor of mine told me. He said, man, will look beyond your integrity and character issues at your giftings and talents and be enamored by them. God will look beyond your gifts and talents straight at the heart, and he'll look at your integrity and character. And so what I got from that was the jacked upness, if that's a word, that I did in my life and I still have the temptation as a gifted and talented person today to do it the way others do it that don't know him. And what I mean by that is every time I'm tempted to do it that way. For instance, the message of that I've done something, and it's because I'm great or because I'm talented, it begins to fall apart. And thankfully for the grace of God, it doesn't completely fall apart. It just begins to shift, and I begin to see that and sense that uncomfortableness. So the reality is, man, it's kind of a Solomon story, and I know we're not here to talk necessarily all biblical, but it's kind of that situation where, when he was given the ability to ask for anything he could have, he asked for wisdom. He was given riches. He was given popularity and wealth, but he was also given wisdom. And I think that there's something to be said for that because people came from everywhere to find out what he was doing. And I think that's what happens when you're called and gifted as we are talented, but then you surrender to him. I think that people are going to go, what are you doing different? And the difference is not me, it's him. And so, I want to be a mirror, man. And, but anyway, I've done enough jacking up. And I still do. I just do less of it. So.
I agree with you, and that's something that drew me to you as well. Is that you just have a unique ability to talk about moments that aren't so flattering, but you do it in such a confident way because you understood that staying faithful to your faith through those unflattering moments allowed you to come out the other side much better and much more prepared to lead other people out of theirs. And I think that in an industry that you're in, such as the automotive industry, those things are needed. That type of leadership is needed because, this industry sometimes gets that old school boxer mentality. You got to go in there and slug it out. And it's all about the purse at the end of the day. It's all about the money at the end of the day. When in reality, it's really about the process. It's really about, what are you doing prior to going in? How are you setting yourself up for success? What are you doing when you don't have those walk-ins every 5, 10, 15 minutes? There's so much more that layers that. And it kind of leads me to, 23 years ago, you and your wife sitting at home, you guys are just talking, hanging out, boom, Auto Dealer Live was born. IPD was born. Walk us through that process and how it kind of got to there.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's a lot. The way you painted it would have been nice. She was 17. She was 17 and pregnant. I just turned 20, and we were broke, busted, and disgusted. We had listened to nobody in our family. We did exactly what everybody told us not to do, and there we are. And here's Mr. Talented guy that's going to go out and conquer the world, and can't pay his rent. And so, we're sitting there, and we weren't talking. She was probably telling me, hey, go out and make some money. Let's do something. But, IPD was born based on the fact that, the automotive side of it, to be very honest with you, my dad was involved for probably a decade or so prior to that in an automotive marketing industry. He just recently sold an automotive software company this year, very successful one. So I had that in my blood from him. As far as sales, that was a gift I had, and it just happened. So I got involved in it based on him being involved in it, then it became very passionate to me over the next, a couple of decades. But, so it was one of these things where in our bedroom, man, literally I'm working. I didn't have an office. I didn't have anywhere to go. I'm making calls, and 21-year-old guy calling, 50-year-old GMs. At that time, they were making 40 grand a month, whatever the big desk guys, and I'm going in to visit them, after I set appointments at 21, getting my teeth kicked in. I'm sitting on the other side of a big office, and they're looking at me like, what can you do for me? What do you know? And so just stubbornness, man, continuing to move forward, making a lot of mistakes. That's where it started, but it really didn't start for me or restart, or I didn't get serious about it. I had it for quite a while, until about 2004 or 5. And that's when it became something that I began to get a vision for. It went from a boutique kind of agency where, we had, a few hundred square feet. We're in 8,500 square feet today. It just began to grow. And, I began to get vision. I began to understand leadership a little more. I began to, see that what I wanted to do required people. And so we began to build it from there. Auto Dealer Live started in 2012. So this February, in 2 months, it'll be 5 years. And that started as a marketing arm that developed into something that quickly became a passion of ours, because other people were very passionate about it. So I love this industry, man. And it's a huge, and I will say this, I think that one thing you said a minute ago about this industry, and every industry where, we're chasing the dollar, we don't have ups all the time in the showroom. What do we do? How do we make that money without compromising our integrity? And one thing I will say that I believe that I've learned, that if you do the right thing, and if you got to hustle, you got to work, obviously you got to go after it. But if you do the right thing and you have the right motive, I believe money will chase you, it'll catch you, and it'll tackle you, it'll sit down on top of you, and you won't be able to get up. Meaning the money will come, and you won't be able to spend the money that can come, because money's attached to people. That's where it's at. And you can either steal it or you can earn it. And, people can steal it if you want, take the money, hurt people, or you can earn it, and people are giving it to you because you're making their lives better. So that's the way I choose to do it. And I think that's the order to put it in.
Absolutely love that, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening out there right now on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, Pandora, David Villa, my man, IPD, Auto Dealer Live, he just said it. You can either steal it or earn it. Okay, but money chases people. You can either steal it or earn it. And I'm going to ask you this. Last night I was having a conversation with some individuals, and I said, for me, when it comes to the sales side of things, or when it comes to business in general, the true motivation for being successful has to come from the love of the game, the love of the craft, not the love of the money. What do you feel about that? And what would be your advice to those people who are out there only chasing the dollar bill versus trying to figure out if it's the love of what they do that's really going to help them get paid?
Sure. Yeah. Great question, man. I think that defines the genre, the industry of sales, because the truth of the matter is you can't really be, if you're motivated by money to the degree where that is your priority, then unfortunately your integrity will be compromised somewhere down the line. Because what happens when somebody doesn't buy your product, but you still are motivated by the almighty dollar? You'll resort to, because I did it as a person who understood right from wrong, as a person who started my career, not wanting to hurt somebody, but motivated by money in a time in my life. And I hurt people, because I was motivated by the wrong thing. So I would challenge, I would challenge somebody to find the why. They have to find their why, and your why could be, here's a good point to that, because, okay, today, and I mean, obviously, everybody with different levels of income are limited to some degree. I mean, somebody may not be able to go out and buy a $40 million yacht and pay cash for it. But I mean, within reason, I can buy what I want today. So I'm not motivated by money. But here's the thing. What's my why now? If I make enough money that I can buy within reason anything that I want, I'm not struggling, I have money in the bank, I can help people, then what's my why? It no longer, see, that's why money doesn't hold. That's why the value of money or the motivation of money doesn't hold weight. Because when you have a lot of it or you have enough of it, what's going to motivate you? to continue to stockpile it? So I think that you have to have a why. And somebody else told me this a while back about prosperity and success, and it stuck with me. I probably got this about 8 years ago from another mentor in my life in a spiritual way. They told me the difference in prosperity and success. Success is the ability to, pay your bills, have money in the bank, maybe live comfortably, not struggle, go out and eat, buy what you want, whatever that means to people. There's some flexibility there. But prosperity is the ability to make other people successful. Meaning if you have enough, you're prosperous where you can help other people become successful, and so I want to be prosperous. My why is I want the ability to write a check when I want to write it. I want the ability to do what I want to do to help other people. I want to make a difference. And so that gets me going. I want to see people here that, that start here, that maybe are struggling but have talent. I want to see them develop that potential and talent. I want to see them succeed. I like seeing my guys go, I tripled my income from last year. You know what? I went from making this to making, 3 times that amount. I never thought I could do it. That fires me up.
I love that. And I love your really, and it was so simple, but yet so elegant the way you laid that out there, right? Your kind of take on what I had said. And you're exactly right. I believe that for most people, especially in our generation, the millennial generation that's coming up that has access to just about anything and everything they want, instantaneous information, is that you really, at the end of the day, it really all boils down to that passion, that inner drive. What's going to make you get up every single day at the same time, at the same place, every single day, and do it over and over again.
Yeah.
So, you talk about IPD and you talk about going from, a bedroom to 8,500 square feet. What were some of those tough moments that you can talk about early on, especially in your entrepreneurial journey, where you kind of faced that decision? Do I move back to the corporate world and something steady, or do I just keep pushing through and see things through to the other side? Did you have any moments where you thought, man, you know what, this is it, I'm going to hang this up and go after something easy?
Sure. Oh yeah. Absolutely. I'll get 3 or 4 of them, or 3 of them can stand 3 different time frames. Starting out, where my first, when I went from a steady income as a sales manager, in one level with my dad, and I was making good money, to telling my wife, this is what I'm going to do. And for the first couple of months, my paycheck was about $100 a week, and because I had to eat what I kill. That was one of those times when I thought about that. Another time moving down the road a little bit was, when I had to borrow, go and sell stock. That I bought back years ago, but I had to go sell stock early on in our company and sell somebody that was a family friend that was worth probably $20 million, at that time, sell them on why they should take a shot on me, taking that money, buying computers, buying phone system, and from the first time, taking it to the next level. That's what I did. I used that capital to grow a sales team. And, and that person making, their money back 3 times over, then able to buy them out at that time, that was a reward of that. But I thought at that time, this isn't worth it back in that time frame. In 2008, I remember when I had 7 of my beast salespeople, wrong people. One of those things that the wrong people, doing well financially, but the wrong people. They were just dog eat dog, step on top of you. They didn't help each other. They didn't like each other. They were all about the almighty dollar. And this is one of the learning experiences. But I thought about giving up at this point, because here I am building this. In 2007, at that time, was our biggest year by far. And I had 7 salespeople walk out. Literally within a 20-day period, mass exodus, and they did it. They did it together and collectively. And we went from 55 employees. We held it together. About 8 months later, I went down to 29. So I had to literally look at people and say, look, we can't have you here anymore. Then build it back up, and we're about 50 employees now. We had a record. That was our record year until 2013. We broke a record. Then we broke it in 2014, then 2015, and then this year we're going to break a record again. So, those are just some of the times I thought about quitting.
I love it.
No. Yeah, man. I think that is normal. I said this the other day. Somebody interviewed me the other day, and I said this. I say it all the time, but it's so true, man. If you think of, and your listeners think of 2, 3, 5, whatever, just 2 people would do that you consider a mentor, that you consider somebody in your life that does it. two things they had in common. Number one, they're successful and they've made it to some degree, obviously. Number two, they thought about quitting, every one of them, and they just didn't. And so I think that is something that we all share, or I don't know how true our success really is or will be.
Well, what I think is a key takeaway there, ladies and gentlemen, is I asked him to share one moment where he thought about quitting. He told it to me, and then after that, he talked about how breaking record after record after record after record. So the underlying statement is that what truly makes an individual successful is when they push themselves to the brink of ending and they push through it and they never go back to that point. They always do so much more that it caused them just to only do better and better and better. And I think that's something that is amazing. You know, so talk to us a little bit about IPD, David, and where the vision for the company kind of came from and how you've been able to just jump into this marketplace, not only create a niche, but, man, it just seems like you guys are literally everywhere, and how you've been able to do it and what you're really doing for those clients that you're helping through this company.
Sure. It started as a direct mail company. I mean, that was back in the day. That's what we did. And, it was, that was what I sold. That's what I understood. Developed into more of an intelligent marketing company. We went from technically Imperial Press Direct is the name of our company, but we shortened to IPD because we started diversifying. So, we're a digital, and intelligent mail and digital marketing company for the automotive business. We have a lot of dealer clients we work with them monthly. We're on several, public and large private, vendor lists and things like that of some big groups. And of course, work mostly with independent or, dealer franchises that have 2 or 3 stores and locations across the nation. Every state, with the exception of Hawaii and Alaska, that we've done business in. And so I'm challenging my guys to let's make it all of them. But so that's where it started, where it's developed in the last couple of years. And specifically in the last couple of years, we've added from our IPD marketing division, we've added our IPD training and IPD media. So because of Auto Dealer Live, my Game Changer podcast, the Dealer Solutions magazine that, we've been publishing since 2014, we developed and also we publish books and help people write books. We have a whole creative team here. We developed a media division. So we're IPD marketing, IPD media, and then we have a IPD training division. So we started training within the last couple of years and offering not only sales training, but leadership. We have a training room here. We offer on-site leadership roundtables, things like that, non-automotive and automotive. And so it's IPD marketing, IPD media, IPD training, and who knows what's next, but these all make sense to us because it's who we are. It's not something we reached out and said, let's find another product. It's like it's spilt out from us, and it's who we are. That makes sense. But that's who IPD is. And this
absolutely,
is people,
absolutely.
The reason we're everywhere, one of the other things, the reason we're everywhere else, Matt, that makes me feel good to hear that but it's, this, man, it's all about the people. If it were up to me, it would be in my office. I mean, that's it. Boom, or wherever I'm at. But it's all about the people we have here. An incredible team that buys into the vision that I would challenge anyone to find out which one doesn't own part of this company by their attitudes.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that. And I think, one of the things for me, David, that I take away is that I always try to look at things from the inside out, not necessarily the outside in. And one of the things that I see with you and your company is that, you recognized early on that, hey, it's great to be great at one thing, but we can't just stay great at one thing if we're going to continuously grow and break records and expand. And, you jumped into the podcasting and kind of digital space very early on from an industry standpoint. Mm-hmm. And I believe that you've helped open the door for other people in the industry to be more comfortable to come out and do these things or try to do these things.
Thank you.
Talk to our audience as well about how powerful the Auto Dealer Live, the podcast, and now that magazine. Talk to us about how it's really not only enhanced your brand, but also added more value to your core brand in IPD.
Sure. And I'd recommend, and I'm with you on that. And Auto Dealer Live started, very, very honestly, it started as a marketing idea. My former vice president of marketing, he just left here recently. He was here since 2012. He approached me and said, I've been in the auto business, with Auto Nation for 8 years. And then I was a marketing director for not an automotive company. I think we should do this because we were looking for a way at that time to reach dealers, because you and I both know, I mean, the dealerships, where are they? It's not like, if you're selling dealers across the country, it's not like they're on the same radio station or same TV channel, or, how are you going to market them? And so there's very few ways to reach them if you don't go to conferences, things like that. So, reluctantly at first, I bought into the idea. He said, I think this is a great idea. He co-hosted it with me in the beginning for the first year. And so the rest is history. It very quickly, I had one client of mine, one dealer, he's still a client today for the last 7 years, Matt Lasco at Lasco Ford. One client committed to me. He bought into the idea and he said, man, I love you. We're friends. I will be on the show every week for the first year. And I'm telling you, that guy was on the show every single week. We might have had one listener. I don't even know if we had one. I don't know who it was, but that guy committed to it, man. And let me tell you something. He's a friend, and I'll forever be indebted to him on that. But but very quickly, Matt, it turned into something different. We began to get passionate about it. We saw that we were talking and discussing issues, and people were buying into the concept of sharing this. And so then Digital Dealer reached out in 2014. To us and ask us to come on and be a press arm of their conference. So in 2014, Vegas, that was when we started with them as well, and went there. We're going to be going here in Tampa. This is every year since then, and from Vegas in fall of 2014, every spring and fall, we've been to the Digital Dealer Conference, and we go to interview, meet dealers, and so our audience began to expand there, and the rest is history. But it's we never monetized it until last year, and we were asked over and over again, and we did it not for the money. We do have we're moving into 2017. We're only bringing 5 sponsors back with us this year because we're trying to change our focus again, to just expand our audience, and we only did it because they asked over and over again, and we felt like that these 5 now strategic partners are really good in moving forward. And they share the same vision, but it's passion now, man. We're just passionate about the industry. I love the industry. I love the people.
Yeah. Well, well, it definitely shows. And I think, for guys like myself that have been in the sales industry since the time they were 12, I remember when, my dad has been in sales his whole life. And the way I earned money was I would go and stock shelves for his stores. He's a regional vice president for Nabisco. But I would go in and stock shelves for him to make money, and it just kind of parlayed into every summer I was with him learning. And for guys like me that's been in the sales for such a long time, to see you evolve like you have also helps us know that there's, we may have some talents that we didn't think would be recognized by a more widespread audience. And so, I want to say thank you for that, because I know a lot of people watch you guys. I know a lot of people try to imitate you guys. Me personally, I try to emulate what you guys bring to the table because it's so powerful, and the stance that you have in your faith is something that I always want to shine through because, hey, at the end of the day for me, whether I have $1 million or whether I have one, my integrity is what's going to show to my wife and my 2 boys, and I have a bigger obligation to them than to anyone. So I just want to say thank you as well for being a model for me. So anytime my kids say, Daddy, what are you doing today? And I get to show them your show, or I get to show them something on those lines and say, this is the type of stuff Dad does. So they see clean cut class, but they also see success, and that's big.
I appreciate that, man. Something, a lot of people can try to imitate things, but I tell you, Matt, and I'm just saying this, and from just all honesty, you have something that can't be imitated. That someone can't imitate, and I think that that's what I think people are looking for. That's what I think the difference is. I think there's a sincerity, and it's from the heart, and I think that people can relate to that, and I think that's what's going to make you successful. I'd love to have you on our show, man. Just say this publicly on your show. I'd like to have you on Auto Dealer Live. I'd love to interview and talk to you, man, and try my best to expose you to our audience that doesn't know who you are, because I think you're doing a great job, and I'd love to have you on.
Dude, absolutely. Hey, if anything, we'll have a great time, and we'll bring some energy. But I would love that. I tell you, David, before we wrap the show up and go into a couple more questions for you, the podcast for me, I talked to you about the digital stuff. For me, the podcast just really came off the heels of I was doing some live streams, and I had some people say, Matt, have you ever done any voiceovers? You've got this voiceover voice kind of deal. And I jumped on this podcast. And, I was like, okay, I don't have this fancy mixing board. I don't have these fancy intros and all this stuff. And I started to realize that for me, my podcast, I want people to walk away from my podcast going, wow, I didn't really know what I was going to get going into it, but walking out of it, man, that was some good stuff there. And so, but I would tell you the podcast puts me in front of guys like David, in front of their company, in front of their listeners. And then from the end of the day, his listeners are going to benefit from my consistency and going to benefit from my audience. And I mean, it's just so powerful what you can do with these platforms. And so what's next for you, David? I know that you're pushing hard all the time, and you've got an 8,500 square foot office that you're wanting to fill up to the brim so you can push to 10,000 square feet, I'm sure. So, moving out of 2016,
15.
What's that?
I said 15.
Uh-oh. Okay. There we go. There we go. So moving out of 2016 and pushing into 2017, what are some big plays for you see coming up, and what are some areas that you want us to be on the lookout from David Villa and IPD?
Yeah, with 2017, I'm focusing. It's funny because one of my goals in 2017 is to get out of this 8,500 square foot building. What I mean by that is I'm focusing a lot more now, and I'm already scheduling a lot of events outside to speak and strategically speak. I don't want to just speak. I want to strategically speak. So I'm praying for and the doors to open in certain areas. And so I've already got some really cool things that have happened that are coming in 2017. So I'm speaking more. I want to go and impact and be involved in some organizations. And again, I want the right ones. And so that's happening. We have a PR team. I'm releasing a sales book in the first quarter of next year. I'm in the middle of writing it now, called Sales Pros Get Paid, Amateurs Don't. And the book is when I made the decision personally to cross over from amateur to professional. And so it's a really unique take. It's kind of from my perspective, my life in sales, and when I made the decision. So I'm in the middle of writing that now, but it will be released beginning of the year, probably March. And so just that's on the horizon. And just honestly, to be a better man of God, a better husband, a better father. Man, my kids are growing. My youngest just turned 16. My oldest daughter is married, and my son's in college. I just want to do better by my family. Just really spend some more time with them as well. Just a lot of cool things like that, man.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, my 6-year-old just turned 6 in November, and my 4-year-old will turn 4 in about 12 days. So, my family's growing as well. But where can more people, David, go to find out about you, find out about IPD and your shows, and just stay in front of your content?
Sure. They can go to davidvilla.me. That's my personal website. And our company website is IPD mail.com, and that's our training, media, and our marketing is all under there. Of course, there's links to the personal page as well. And of course, there's Auto Dealer Live is autodealerlive.net. We're rolling out a brand new website for Auto Dealer Live and Dealer Solutions Magazine January 1. They're finished now. We're just waiting until January 1 to roll them out. So just a lot of exciting things. But yeah, man, on Twitter, I'm very active on Twitter myself. I do all my own personal tweeting, and it's at IPD Mail. So you can follow me there, and I'm interacting there every single day myself. And that's kind of something I like doing.
So what are some criteria, just to piggyback on that, on some folks that might be interested on acquiring, getting on the show, Auto Dealer Live? Is there a form that they would need to fill out, or how would they go about possibly getting on the show?
Sure. If they would follow Facebook, my marketing team handles my Facebook page personally in our Auto Dealer Live. But if they follow me or friend me or follow the page, then they can reach out that way. And Kim, Mikey, Lewis, Ezra, one of the 4 of them all get those messages. And we're booked now. I mean, we always have room to put a person or two. But we're booked out through March. I know right now on Auto Dealer, I think the end of March, which shows. But yeah, man. Honestly, we just like automotive people. I mean, we've got a show for everyone, whether it's a dealer principal. I don't care if you're a lot porter, man. We'll get you on somehow. We like to talk to people who are making it happen or who have something to say, but we'll fit you and with an idea and a panel that we've got coming up. But I'd love to have them on. And honestly, anybody out there that's listening that says, well, I'm not, I'm just a salesman or I'm this, and that doesn't mean anything. We're not going after we have people of all caliber on, man. It's just a good show for people. And some of the most listened to, most commented about shows are when you have some of the least known people on that are making a difference, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. David Villa from IPD. You want to get over to davidvilla.me, IPD, at IPD Mail on Twitter. David does a lot of personal tweeting there. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, you got to get over to Facebook. You got to get in front of Auto Dealer Live. There's so much content, live videos, quick hit videos, as I call it, tips. David's all over the place. And if you haven't already, he also streams his Auto Dealer Live shows online as well. So he's constantly putting that information in front of the audience. But I'll leave you with this. Success is never measured by what you step out of, rather by what you are truly committed to step into. And I can't thank you for allowing me to be your host right here on The Power of Great.